Real One crew, and welcome back to another episode of the Just Keep It Real podcast. I'm your host, the Real Michaela, and thank you guys for tuning in to yet another episode. Thank you guys for just tuning in and being here, guys. We are moving right along in season 5. Thank you guys for showing so much love and support. So the first 2 episodes, the first episode was Finding Your Voice with Marauder Bradford, and then the second one was Healing Empowerment Through Self-Care with Dr. Quita Mack. We had some great conversation those 2 episodes. It was such a great time for us to have that time. But guys, we're keep moving right along. We got another great episode coming up right now, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up so that way, guys, you can stay tuned for yet another episode of Just Keep It Real and become a member of the Real One crew where we do nothing but keep it real. We have a great person joining us today. She is a mother, a daughter, a Navy veteran. Thank her for her service. She holds a bachelor's degree in psychology and is also pursuing her doctorate in clinical psychology. She is an award-winning author. She has written 13 books with 2 more in the works. She sees writing as a therapy and a way for her to share what God has placed on her heart. She has started poetry. She's been writing poetry since 2017. She's also one of my good personal friends. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Please help me get a warm welcome to my friend, Dr. Candi Usher. How are you doing today?
I am wonderfully blessed. How are you?
I am here. I'm doing good. I'm blessed. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us today. We are just so glad
for
that you took
having
time
me.
out your time to be here and to share your life. We are getting ready to get into something deep that we all struggle with.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I just want to give you this time to introduce yourself and tell the listeners who you are.
Hi, I'm author Candi Usher. She's read off some of the things about me. Like she said, I'm a mom. I have 3 sons, ages 21, going on 15 and 12. I hail from Valdosta, Georgia, little bitty town in Georgia. Been away from there for about 20 years now. I'm currently in Texas, beautiful state of Texas, and a little bitty town now, though. Little bitty town, higher part of Texas. I like the city life, the quiet life, very, very much. Prefer country over the city all the time. Lived in a lot of different states because of the Navy. Traveled a lot of different places, so that was a lot of great experience. I got to see a lot of life, introduced to a lot of people. A lot of my friends are because of the Navy. And if you ever get the chance to, I encourage a lot of young people, get out, get away, experience life a little bit. Sometimes we end up stuck in a place, and not saying it's for everybody to leave, but for those who feel that tug in their spirit, leave. Get out. That was meant for me. It was not meant for me to stay where I was, because you never know where God is going to take you when you leave. Pick up your feet and go. God told Abraham to move. And when he moved, he took him to another place. And generation after generation after generation was in a new place. And God expanded it because of that. So if God says move, get out, go. And trust God that he'll provide where he wants you to be, where he's taking you. Just trust him to take you there. And I trusted him to do that. And he provided the way through the Navy. Ask him to take you somewhere else. So don't take the military route unless you have my advice on that. Don't take that unless absolutely necessary. That's my thing. But did that, and now it's college, going for my doctorate, clinical psychology, looking to help other veterans, parents of loss, battered women, and children who have been stuck in alternative school, whose parents don't have a way to really help them on the mental and emotional part, because they're either over and inundated with work or have a large number of children at home and just are not able to look after the mental aspect for their children and get them out of the jail pipeline. Because most of the kids who end up in alternative school, the percentage for them to end up in jail is extremely high. And I don't like those factors at all. And if I can save 5-10% of those young people, that's what I look to do. I look to turn as many of those numbers around as possible. And God has opened the door for me to be able to connect with other women who are looking to do the same thing. And we want to open those doors and save as many of those young people as we can and point them in the right direction as biblically as possible, too. So we don't want to just point them in the right direction. We want to put them on the straight and narrow.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Pray that God continues to bless you and keep you and keep you on the guide, keep you on the path. So we're getting ready to talk into something that we all go through. We all struggle with overcoming self-doubt.
Yeah.
First of all, doubt itself is a lot, but self-doubt, the doubting yourself, man, that's definitely hard. But we're not gonna prolong the time. We're gonna jump right into it. So you've already introduced yourself and who you are. How would you say self-doubt played a part in your journey, in your beginning journey?
Self-doubt started when I was in middle school because I was bullied. And for being in the field of psychology, one of the biggest things that they talk about is self-esteem, especially at the age group between 10 to 12 years old, when most kids are going from fifth or sixth to seventh, eighth grade. Because that's when you're starting to change a lot. Your body is different, your mind is different, how you look at yourself is different. So, how I dressed, how I saw myself was a lot different than other kids. I didn't speak like a lot of the kids. I didn't act like a lot of the kids. I was homeschooled my first 7 years. From first grade through seventh grade, through sixth grade, I was homeschooled. So when I hit seventh grade, I didn't dress like the other kids did. I didn't speak like them. I didn't act like them, any of that. I was already an outcast when I walked in. Then you think about you're a pastor's kid, you're a teacher's kid, you're a pastor's grandkid. Half the people in the town, because I come from not a big town. So on top of that, you're related to half the people, so you don't really have an identity in and of yourself as so your self-esteem is beaten and battered, you know. So you walk in and people are picking on you for how you look, your skin tone, because colorism is real, very, very real and very, very prevalent. So now your skin tone is picked on, your language is picked on, how you dress is picked on. Nothing you do is right except for your grades. Now everybody wants your grades because you're on honor roll. So if there's anything you do right, it's your homework. And that's all they want you around for. You're their friend for that. That's all they want you for. And you begin to doubt yourself a lot because you wonder what your worth is. You wonder what your value is. You begin to wonder what you mean to people. You begin to wonder if anybody is going to want you, if anybody's going to need you. And even with having family there, when you reach out to adults at that age, it's kind of hard to say or find the words to really say, hey, I'm being picked on or bullied, because you wonder who can you trust with it. And yeah, adults are like, oh, you can trust me with that, but who do you really trust with that?
Right.
And I did. I thought I had an adult that I could go to with that. And when I did go to that adult, I was brushed off. It became, you're all right. And, you're pretty enough and you're fine and you're okay. Because I didn't wear my hair like them either. I actually had my own natural hair. I didn't wear relaxers or anything like that either. So that was another thing that was picked on too. So it was just like, so, you're pretty enough and you're fine. And as long as you look good in God's sight, that's all that matters. And you don't ignore what they, well, it's kind of hard to ignore what they say. One, two, you're already an adult. So you're kind of not being empathetic towards what I'm feeling. It's kind of being brushed off on your part. You're not coming to the school and saying, hey, this is an issue. Can we deal with it? Now, if it was for anything academic, they would come to the school for that. But if it was for something like that, they weren't coming to the school for that. And that's what I needed them to come to school for. So at that age, when you're doubting yourself, then allows for the enemy to come in and start speaking to your mind. And you begin to wonder, well, is anybody really going to miss me? If I disappear, is anybody going to be looking for me? And that allows him to start planting seeds in your mind and let them take root. And that's a dangerous game, especially when it comes for young people. And that's why you see so many things happening with young people in that age range from 10 to 13 years old. because it's very easy for that age group to be manipulated, especially spiritually, because they have a lot of self-doubt. They're changing, they're different. There are a lot of social norms and definitely social groups. And a lot don't know where they fit in or they don't fit in. So they're ostracized, they're pushed out. And you've all seen, especially on the news, how far bullying has really gone and how pushed over the top it is now. It has to get to the point of where we really have to really start, when they say they need help, we really have to start listening to them and really start reaching out to them and hearing them. And not just hearing them, but listening. Because we can hear them. Hearing is in one ear, out the other. I can say, I heard you. That means there was a sound made. But if I'm listening to you, I can tell you what you said to me. So we really have to start listening to them and listening to that age group. So for me, self-doubt came in during that age and it just built.
That is who it definitely, like, we can relate because I was actually bullied, growing up too. So, and then, you do get to start thinking, well, what's so wrong with me? Or you try to do what you can to change. And when you spoke on like the social norms, like social media plays a major role in self-doubt because you always see these different people with these larger platforms. Not saying all of them do it, but there's some people with major platforms that they post their lives, and you see young girls that's coming up, they see that they want to be like that, but they're not embracing. But then when they're not like that, and they're ostracized for it, they're picked on for it, it makes them like, well, what's wrong with me? And then they don't have nobody to really look up to that could pour into them, or they're not most time they are, but they're not scared. They're scared to speak up. Like you said, you spoke on who can I trust with that. That's actually what we talked about in episode 1. We talked about finding your voice and not being scared to speak up. And that's one thing you have to do. So some of them, either they're around the people they can tell, but they don't want to tell, or they're not around the people that are paying attention to notice what's going on. So self-doubt and social media plays, like, they go hand in hand. Because when you don't know who you are, you're going to run and try to pick up these different habits from the other people, try to accept to kind of put yourself in a place where, like, now society has to accept because I'm doing what's normal. And when you're doing when you're being different, you're a target. Because why are you not doing what we're doing? So that plays a major role. And that's something that I definitely struggled with, growing up. I was around a family, I mean, I didn't want to tell anybody because, like you said, that doubt enemy plays those thoughts in your mind. Nobody's going to miss you. Nobody's going to care. So that's what I thought growing up. Like, nobody's going to care if I tell them being bullied. Nobody's going to care if something happens to me, and that's all a lie. Somebody does care, somebody will do something about it, but you just got to open your mouth and say something, and don't let doubt creep in. It's funny
Now,
how
on the other side of that, I'm in a class this semester called social psychology. On the other side of that is where, with self-doubt, is where you're accepted. But then the self-doubt comes in on, what does that acceptance mean? Because what if I don't want to be mean to this person? Will you push me out? What if I think what you're doing is wrong? Will you push me out? Am I willing to go against what I believe to please you? Will I go against my own morals, what I was taught is right and wrong? That's what cognitive dissonance is. And I think people get that wrong or don't understand really what cognitive dissonance is. Cognitive dissonance is, I know it's wrong, but I will still do it anyway because I'm still told it's right. So I'm still going to go along with everyone else. I'm going to go against what's morally wrong because I want to be along with everyone. So you have two different sides of it. So it's two different sides to self-doubt. And I wanted to bring that out too and clarify, because we always see what I brought out first, my side of self-doubt. But you do have the other side of self-doubt, where the in-crowd people also fight with self-doubt. There are people on that in crowd. Like, you see it on, I remember growing up watching Saved by the Bell. If you watch some of the girls, like the girl Stacy, there were times you could see on her face where there was a battle on her face, where she was wondering, should she participate or not in beating up on Screech, because it was just kind of like, that might not be right. That might not be fair. Or Laura, when it came to beating up on Urkel, should I really participate in that? You know what I'm saying? Should I really be doing that? Because I know it's wrong. But if I help him, people are going to pick on me. But if I help them, I'm going to hurt somebody who I know cares about me. I had that as part of one of my discussion questions yesterday, and I outed myself in class. I had to, in the discussion question, say when a point in time was that I went against something that I believed, and then I had to explain it academically as to why I went against what I believed. And I brought up in high school where I was dating this guy, which I stupidly later married. Talk about that later. That's another part of self-doubt. We talk about. He had my brother jump. And the point of having my brother jumped was to keep me under control, because I was seriously considering walking away from him. And everything inside of me wanted to jump in that fight, but I did. And I should have protected my brother, and I did. Because that, technically he was a man at that time, because he was 18. I was 17. I had not turned 18 yet. If I jumped in it, he would have him jumped every single week. So I had a choice. I could protect my brother right then and let him get jumped every single week, or I could stay out of it and he'd be left alone.
Oh, that right there is, like I say, I can't add too much to that. That was a whole lot right there. I don't even know what can I add to that. But it's funny how we're just, the episode, we didn't cover 3 questions within this whole conversation. But one thing we finna jump into is, imposter syndrome. With you and your degree into psychology, you can speak to this a whole lot. But imposter syndrome is a big part of self-doubt. And that's something I definitely had navigating through my life. When I look back at my life, I could definitely say from like at least 6th grade up until like maybe like 9th to 10th grade. I feel like in 10th grade, I was like, I'm just going to be who I am. And that's it. That's what it was. But I definitely feel like from like 6th grade up until like my early year of high school. I really was just kind of like, navigating. But I definitely say like from, starting middle school and up, definitely had imposter syndrome, because when you see other people get praised and you feel like, and it's kind of like something's wrong with you. So what you do with that, well, at least what I did with that was like, I would mimic what they would do to get the same results that they had. And I kept doing that and kept doing that. So like I'm a different person all the time and I'm not who I am. But that's a big thing. But it's not until I got out of that, until like where God delivered me from. I'm just like, still young at the time. And I grew up in church. My audience know that. I grew up in church, was raised in church. But even at that time, I just knew like, I just kind of like, something just fell off of me. I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of pretending to be other people and doing like I said, being accepted, going against what's right just to be accepted. And that's something I definitely did. I was like, my old teachers, I don't know where she's at, but I remember my reading teacher, she called my mom and literally told my mom, she's like, hey, Michaela's very popular, every time I see her, she's always with the crowd. The crowd is not a really good crowd for her to be, because, she had got a chance to learn who I was, like, personally, just like, Michaela, like, this was just a persona, like, loud and doing all this stuff and stuff, like, that's just, that was just who I was pretending to be so I could be accepted. But she had got a chance because, of course, when you play in a role, you gotta carry out the role in your academic life. And that, I don't think people understand. Like, when you're pretending to be somebody else, you gotta be that person all day long. All the time. I could not just be, like just in the hallways. I had to carry that out in class. So that involved me being a class clown, acting out, doing different things. But will also save me because I was an athlete. So I knew if I didn't pass, I couldn't play. So a certain level, I had to like modify what I do. I can't get in trouble like that, because then that means I can't play. So I have to at least be semi joke and semi serious at the same time. So, but the good thing is like a lot of people that I was like I used to run in the hallways, I didn't have a lot of classes with. So I had a chance to, which God protect me in that, but I had a
Yeah,
chance to
redeem
actually
yourself to a point.
focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually focus and apply myself to my brain just went flat, but to the job, I actually had a chance to apply myself to getting the work done. But Lily, I had with me acting out one particular day, she had to, keep me after school to, tutoring and all that. And that time, like she got a chance to like really get a chance to know me. I got a chance to really know her as a teacher. So she even when she called my mom and that, she's like, "Hey, I'm worried about her because she now has seen a side of me. It's like, I've met the real her. This is not her.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's playing her persona. Like this is not
Mm-hmm.
who she is." But you get to that point, like imposter syndrome. Like some people, when they hear the word imposter, they feel like, oh, it doesn't exist. It does exist. When
Yeah, it
you
does.
go, and like I said, I went years doing this role. I actually feel like it started when I was a kid. Like, but like really, really, like throughout my life, I was like, yeah, like I had it from like a child all the way up because I would do stuff that I knew was wrong just to be accepted, just to
Mm-hmm.
feel like, you know what, they got my back. But really, they don't. They
Now, see,
only
mine
like
was
me
on,
because I'm doing what they're doing. Like I'm only doing it because they're like I said,
I
when
want to
you're
be like
doing the
them.
norm,
Yeah.
what is normal for them is abnormal for you. So when you're doing their norm,
Mm-hmm.
you're cool. But when you're doing what's different, you're not cool. So that is something really, really strong. But how do you feel like imposter syndrome has played a part? If it's played a part in your life, how has it played a part? And how is it not good for other society, for others?
Imposter syndrome for me played for way too long in my life. It played for 16 to 38. So for 22 long years in my life. I want to say the woman who gave me life, who'll say it like that, had a mental breakdown when I was 11. So that had a large emotional impact on me. And so I was hurt. I was very, very hurt. And so I looked for relationships where I could fix. And so I changed who I was. The real Candy is the Candy you see in front of you. This is Candy. I like my hair. It's two different colors right now. Real Candy, she's a tomboy. The real Candy likes football, basketball, baseball, cars, motorcycles. When she was younger, she climbed trees, jumped off the roof, played in the dirt, full out tomboy. Rode the bike, skinned her knee. She don't have so many scars now because she kind of blotted them out. But I changed myself. Two different husbands. I changed who I was. I tried to become a girly girl. I learned how to walk. I learned how to walk in heels. I did. I became the girl that I thought the woman who gave me life to be, thinking that would please her, which in turn would please my then first husband and then second, thinking that would please them, knowing that was never who I was. And both of them tried to blot out who I was. Every single time it was something wrong with me, something wrong with me every time. And it got to the point of when you're an imposter for so long, when you get tired of faking it to make it, you realize you have no foundation anymore. You don't know you anymore. So at 38, I literally had to start from scratch because I didn't know who I was anymore. So when I say I started from scratch, I cut all my hair. I started from scratch. I had a bald head, kept it up for about a year, grew it out, cut it off, grew it out, cut it off, till I decided what I wanted to do. This I always wanted to do. It was never liked. It was never. That's why it was never done because it was never liked. My natural hair was never liked. It was never liked. It was always some part of her who was always erased. And you never realize when you're an imposter, you're always deleting some part of yourself because you're trying to replace it with something that's going to please somebody else. And as long as I did it I forgot who I was. I forgot me. And it took a long time to find me. And now I stand on that. When I introduce myself to people, look, let
Hey,
me tell you ahead of time. This is who when I introduce myself to you, what did I tell you?
hey, this is this. Listen here. This is who I am, and that's the and you know that's That's what you have to do, especially when you find yourself and God redefines you to nothing.
Let me put you break. Come on back. You good?
We good.
All right, now let's get back together. We back on focus. We back on pat. We're back on par. Now walk in what you're supposed to walk in. Don't you get back off of it again. Understand me? He gave me a chance to get it back together. And when God brings you out of it, back off. And don't get me wrong, because the enemy will try to get you back off. This week right here, the enemy be trying.
Listen, this is just keep it over here.
We talk about this all week. He been trying to get us all up off of it this week. For greater is he that is in he that is in the world. You're not about to get me off of it this week. Because just like he's been trying to get me off of it this week, if I have not gotten some good news, not just right behind. See, that's why you're trying to get me off, because if I'd have got off, but see, the enemy tries to keep us in that imposter syndrome, because as long as we're in that imposter syndrome, we'll never walk in what God wants us to walk in. We'll never be who God wants us to be. All things work together for good to them that are called according to his what? His will. Purpose. We have a purpose. Everybody has a purpose. But if you're an imposter, you're not in your purpose.
You want some? Get out somebody else's. When they tell you, get out my business, what they be telling, listen, don't, what? That's what we tell, that's what we have a quote at the end of the, we say every show. And we've been saying this since the beginning of Just Keep It Real. Be you, don't let nobody else change you. Somebody want to change you, then they not for you. I'm trying to listen.
And take it from somebody who allowed not one, not two, three, because one was a parent. Two, she made a commitment to and had to let the commitment, God broke the commitment. Right. Because she was making a commitment that God was like, why are you committing to people who aren't even meant to be a part of your life? These are not your purpose partners. What you're doing is a repetitive insanity, is repeating the same thing over and over again, thinking
and expecting the same.
The first person hurt you and kept doing the same thing over and over. You're repeating the same thing with these two people, expecting the result to be different from the first person, and you're still trying to fix the problem with the first person. The problem with the first person hasn't changed, and neither did it with the second and third person. And all three of them have hurt you. Now here you are sitting in front of me at my feet, battered and bruised. And you didn't have, but it's okay, because I'm going to work it together for your good. Now, before these other young women end up battered and bruised, talk to them, reach out to them. Some of them are going to hear you. Some of them are going to have to be battered and bruised and sitting at my feet too. But you can say warning comes before destruction, because they heard it before they got to my feet. So I can say for some, they're going to hear this and they're going to still end up battered and bruised at his feet. And some are going to hear this and they're not. They're just going to come sit at his feet. Some are going to be Marys and some are going to be Martha. Oh, Jesus, that just spoke right there. I don't know who needed to hear that, but some of y'all are going to be Mary and some of y'all are going to be Martha. You choose which one you want to be.
We ain't going to even add to that. We're going to move right along. So what was the turning point for you when it comes to overcoming self-doubt? What was your turning point?
My turning point for overcoming self-doubt, I think, was when I had my youngest. So I would say 2010, when I had my youngest. And I really started facing the fact that something in me needed to change. And I started going to therapy. I know a lot of people knock therapy and a lot of people are against it. But when you have the right people in your life guiding you through therapy, and God has blessed me with some great, now don't get me wrong, because I've ran into one or two not so great ones. And see, the beautiful thing about therapy, fire them. From a future psychologist, maybe fire them. Say bye, goodbye, fired. Don't feel afraid to fire somebody if they are not giving you the treatment that you feel like you need and that you require or that you're looking for. You are allowed to be a part of your treatment plan. That is why it is your treatment plan, not their treatment plan. They are only allowed to guide you and give you what they think your treatment plan should be. That is their suggestion. You are also allowed to be a part of your treatment plan. And if there's something that you don't agree with, you are allowed to say something. And if you don't like something or you don't feel comfortable with something, you can walk away and you can find someone else. I've done it. And when I tell you, I have had, especially the last 7 years before I moved from North Carolina, 5 years and the 2 years, they were all both veterans. It was two of them. both women, both veterans. So they were both relational to me. They understood me 100% because we had a lot of experience of the same stuff together. So the one for 5 years understood a lot of the ins and outs because she hadn't got out not too long before. So she had been the freshest one. But the other one rode through with me up through my divorce. And she walked with me through it. And she stood by me through. And she saw me through. She saw me through when I went through having to make that decision. She saw me through saying, hey, I can't do this anymore. She saw me through wanting to go through offering counseling, say, hey, I'm willing to take this step with you if you're willing to. Him saying no, okay, cool. And then when I'm done with it, now, no, we're good. I'm okay. Because one thing about us, we let go way sooner than we let go. We detach way before we detach. We disassociate and then we move all the way out. We can emotionally detach ourselves from a situation, and it might be another year or two before we officially move out. But when we're done, that's it. We're done. We're through with it. And that's where I was with that self doubt. That's where I got to that point when I hit those last 2 years, especially that last year. The last part of letting go of my self doubt was when I got sick so bad to the point of where I really thought I was not going to be here anymore. Literally, I thought I was going to lose my life. Almost every other day, I was in the hospital. I could barely get out of bed. And I went home to see my family. And by that point, I had made up in my mind I wanted my divorce because the Holy Spirit was like, you do realize if you remain with this man in the next 6 months, you will be dead. And God said, you either choose him or me. If you choose me, you will live. If you choose him, you will be with me and won't be with me. I said, God, I choose you. June 2022, I went home. The end of June, because it was before the 4th of July. I went home to see my family. I saw my best friend first day. Like I pulled in,
First day.
took a nap, went to see her, dinner with her, sat down with her. And I said, I want a divorce. And she said, well, finally. You didn't have to say it like that. But I knew what she meant because she's been my ride or die. Girl and I have been friends for almost 30 years now. That's been my girl. So she's been through everything. She's seen it all, you know. And I knew she would support it. So the day after that, I went and my dad, his little broke bestie. So yeah, I went and saw him and I told him, and he said, whatever you need from us, just tell me. So I knew I had their support. Now, the person who gave me life, I didn't tell her till later, and I'll give you that response in a minute. Just hold on for that because you're gonna love that. So, I had decided. So, spent that time, got my thoughts and everything together. I talk to my kids about a lot, but that was one conversation I did not have with them on the way home because they were not aware of a lot of things that had happened in that relation. One thing I was not going to do was smear him to them ever. That was not my job. That was not for me to do. If anything, if he was going to mess himself up, that was going to be what he was going to do before them. I was never going to do that. Got home, got everything out the car, looked him in the face, gathered up all my courage, looked him and that self-doubt in the face, stood up on my morals. Because right before I had left to go on that trip, I made him cut off all my hair. So when I made him cut off all my hair, I made him cut off all myself. He didn't know it, but I did. And I said, I want a divorce. Why would you want a divorce? Why do you want to leave? What brought this about? And I thought we were good. No, that's what you thought. My mind and my heart had already walked out the door. They were gone. When I left to go on this trip, they left too. They did not return with me. They were gone. You chose certain decisions you made. You did certain actions, and I'm sorry. I've forgiven you, but I have not forgotten. And every single day I look at you, I don't forget. And I can't keep doing that. I can't. So I'm done. I'm through. And I made him tell the kids what he did. The cheating and all. I made him tell them all 14 years. Made him do. And then we separated. And then I told my birther that I was getting a divorce. And she told me, I don't know why you're divorcing him. He's the best thing that ever happened to you. And you see where the self-doubt came. This is why I have no connection to her anymore. I do not. And I want you all to know, and I want to say this out loud for some people, when it comes to family, it is okay to walk away. It is perfectly okay. Do not let other family members force you in a corner and force you to deal with family members that cause you self-doubt. I have cut off a whole chunk of a side of my family because they cause self-doubt, because they live in my past. Every time I look at them, every time I go visit them, they don't live in 2025. They live in everything before 2025. They remind me of the old me. They don't live in the fact that I've graduated college. They don't live in the fact that I have my own house. They don't live in the fact that I've matured and that I've grown up in life. They don't live there. They live in my past, and they try to verbally and mentally and emotionally destroy me and make me live in self-doubt because they bully me through that. So I cut them off. What you're not going to do is hurt me. And you're not going to do that in front of my kids ever. I don't live in self-doubt anymore. And the last people who get to make me live in self-doubt is my family. We're supposed to be related to each other. We're supposed to be related to each other. We're supposed to be a family. A family should never treat other family members like that. Ever. But if your family treats you like that, by all means, walk away. And if church, oh God, if church family does that, y'all saw that video of that girl who was made to stand up in front of the church and apologize for getting pregnant before she was married, that causes self-doubt right there and an embarrassment on top of that. If your church does that, run to the nearest exit and don't go back. Do not get on your face before God, fast, pray, and ask for a new church sooner rather than later, because that's another self-doubt right there. And that's another form of bullying. A church should never do that.
We're not even gonna get into talk about that video because that video right there that had me on thousands because that,
Girl,
like you said,
look,
that this we gonna go ahead and go
as a
past that, but
pastor's daughter,
that's
as a
another
pastor's
conversation.
daughter,
But
that don't go
again,
like that. My dad was living over that, and that's as a pastor's daughter.
I'm
As
just
a
saying,
pastor's daughter, my father has never ever given me a modem of ever promoting self-doubt in my life. He has been the one who has always reminded me of how beautiful I am, how smart I am. He has never pushed self-doubt towards me. He's always torn down walls of self-doubt in me and has always pushed me to every mountaintop. Whenever I sit back and I do find times when I feel like self-doubt is creeping in, the other day I got ready to go out to the store, and no, I was getting ready to do a TikTok live, and I was getting ready to put on my eyeshadow and stuff. And I asked my kids just randomly, just because they're guys, especially my oldest, he's 21. And I was like, should I put on makeup or not? And my oldest said none. My middle said none. And my youngest said none. And I said, well, I feel like I'm prettier when I put it on. Do you know I almost got jumped by all three of them? They said, no, Mom, you're beautiful without it. Do you all not understand what it means? And I don't know if y'all know, but for me, that means a lot because I had a lot of self-doubt growing up because I was always told you look prettier with makeup on. And all I did was this, and it's very light, very light. And they told me, Mom, that's what you should wear. You don't have to put much on. When you put it on, keep it light, just like that. So guess who's going to start listening? Before I get jumped again, because
yes.
that one in there is kind of big. He kind of big again. I lost some weight, so I do like I used to.
I understand, but just hearing it, and then another thing is we want to touch on is how important is faith in overcoming self-doubt. Faith plays a major role in overcoming self-doubt, and the reason why it's such a major role because the key to eliminating doubt is your trust in God. You can if you don't trust God, there's going to be doubt. And you cannot trust God but have doubt and trust in God. That doesn't work. Doubt is what kills your faith when you doubt what you're believing in. But overcoming that, they play a major role. You cannot overcome self-doubt if you don't have faith. I mean, you can reassure yourself all day long, but you gotta sometimes believing in yourself is not enough. It's enough if you ain't got nobody else. But if you have God on your side, there's nothing that the enemy can throw your way that you will not overcome. So when you think about it, when you have your faith in God and you're trying to overcome self-doubt, God will begin to tell you and take you through his word, because I know this because he's done it for me. He'll be able to take you in his word and show you who you are and to show you what he has given you, how he created wonderfully made. That is it. When you get to that point where you start believing what God says who you are, that's what matters. And that's how you overcome that, by letting God redefine you and who he says you are. Not what such and such said, not what this person said, not what your group said, not what social media says, but who God says you are. So when you allow him to do that, and like don't be like, well, she said that my hair ugly, but if God said, God knows how many hairs is on your head.
And do.
And what? And those the ones that, because some of us I'm in the process of growing my hair out, so I can't. He knows all that. So you tell me the one that created you, the maker of the universe, says about you, that is beyond you. That matters to me beyond whatever somebody else can say, because they don't know the real you. This person made you, took his time making you, molded you, put you together. That's how you overcome. When you get to the point where he tells you who you are, he done took you through his word. You don't have time and spend time with him, and also spend time with yourself. Once you have gotten, that's how you overcome it. And you do it on a daily. This is not a one night process, because every day self-doubt creeps in. It may be big and may be small, but doubt creeps in. It has ways, and you have to be careful when you're going through your life on a daily basis, because somewhere there's going to be some doubt in there. And if you entertain that doubt just a little bit, just the thought of it, that's it. It's gonna then here come another thought. Here come another thought, and then you're gonna be thinking about that, pondering on that. And then you're gonna start doubting it, and that's how self-doubt.
Therefore, to God, resist the devil, and he will. I mean, there's sure for every single one of them. I promise. He will tell you, "I breathe." 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show thyself approved, a workman need not be ashamed. Right? If you will read the word, God has a scripture that will guide you each and everything you need. Don't depend on your pastor. The pastor is great, don't get me wrong. He's supposed to lead the sheep. But a pastor is for certain days of the week, and he has a flock. He has a church. So he can't get to each individual person. It is on you to pick up that word, read it, and study it. Get to know God for yourself. Get in that scripture for yourself. I am telling you, if you would just get in there, read Psalm. David has a scripture for almost every single thing you need. And just Psalm alone.
I'm trying to tell you, I be in Psalms. What? I'm trying to tell you, get up in there.
Alone. Those two, that's 2 books. Those are 2 books back to back alone. And if you get a chronological, they actually interchange back and forth. I like a chronological Bible. I actually have both, but they do. So that's 2 right there. But if you keep reading, you'll find that even in the New Testament, if you read Paul refers back to Psalms a lot in the New Testament. So you read what Paul wrote, and he'll refer you back to David, which refers you. He had 3, and you find more connections and more, and you'll be like, well, you just solved a whole 6 months. You just found a whole 6 months worth of scripture that just encouraged you. Now you've got peace. Now you've learned how to love yourself. Because the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. How do you love other people if you don't love yourself? If you say you love me, but you say you don't love yourself, you can't love me. You're lying to me. I'm going to just be real. I'm going to call you a liar to your face. So prepare for it. I'm giving you fair warning, honestly.
I'm trying to
sorry.
We done covered, we done jumped down. That brings us to before I close our final segment. We do it before every end of the show. It's called Keep It Real advice, where we give the audience, get a chance to pour into the audience a little bit about what they're, they are struggling with self-doubt, do not have to get out self-doubt. So this is the time where we take out and pour into them. We already done bled into it. We've already said how to get out of self-doubt is to, of course, pray, see God. That is the major key into overcoming self-doubt, because God is going to redefine you. He's going to tell you who you are. He sees you who you are. We're doing the keep it real advice. Mm-hmm. So what is some advice you could give somebody that can help them overcome self-doubt?
As you all can see, I bring up my dad because we talk every single week. And he's always giving me great nuggets, great things that have always pulled me through a lot. So if I give anything, I would kind of give a saying that he gives me when it comes to self-doubt. He says, if you think that God made a mistake, then God wouldn't have put you here. God put you here for a reason. And there is no reason to think that you don't have a purpose here. So for anybody out there who doubts who you have a purpose. You have a reason. You are loved. You are cherished. You are needed. You are cared about. And I tell everybody this, I love you. If nobody else says they love you, I love you. I care about you. I care about what happens to your soul. I care about what happens to your heart. I care about you. And I want to see you do your best. I want to see you have the best. And you deserve the best. I know things in the past might not have been the best. I know things in the past might have been messy. But that's what it was. It was the past. Don't let what happened then make you doubt yourself now. Leave it back there. That was then. This is now. If you keep holding on to it, all you're going to do is keep dragging it through the rest of your life. And you're going to keep doubting yourself over and over and over. Do you know what self-doubt does? Self-doubt kills dreams. Growing up, I was always told, out in the graveyard is the most potential. Because people let self-doubt kill their dreams. There's something you want to do, pick up that pen, pick up that pencil, go fill out that paperwork, put in that effort, make that network, connect with that person, do that outreach, write that book. Coming from two authors, write that book. Because we did. No, we're not famous. We're not trying to be. Not looking to be. But write the book, because it's about reaching somebody and changing their lives. That's all we want to do. And that's what that book is for. Change somebody's life. Share that thought. Give somebody that hug. That's all.
You guys heard it here. I hope you guys have been enjoying this episode. Thank you for everybody who has been tuning in and listening. Thank you, Miss Candi, for coming onto the show and just sharing your insight with us and being able to shed light on this heavy topic. But where can my supporters go and follow you and find out all the great things that you have coming up?
Right there that says author Candi Usher. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Sky, Lemonade. I think that's everything. I might be on some other stuff. I don't know.
Well, you guys heard it here. Go follow on her Instagram, her TikTok, also her Facebook, and tune into her YouTube and turn on your post notifications so that way you do not miss anything that she has coming out. She has some great things coming out. Also, you guys make sure you like, share, also, and follow her on her website. Go ahead and tell the people your website.
www.missmscandygirl.
Make sure you guys go tune into her website and also follow her and also just support her. Just give her a big show your love and your support. Also, make guys like, share, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, turn on your post notifications so you don't miss any real, authentic, uncut episodes. Also, guys, follow me on social media at The Real Michaela, The Real MICHAELIAA on TikTok and on Instagram. Make sure you guys follow the show. Just Keep It Real podcast on Instagram as well. Thank you guys again for tuning in and your love and support. And remember, be you. Do not let nobody else change you. Somebody want to change you, then they're not for you. Stay safe, stay real, and always overcome self-doubt. Until next time.